copy the link which I have sent you. Yeah. Now in this, if you see, you have Eclipse ID for Java EE developer. Click on 64-bit if you have 64-bit. Yeah, first one, second one. Yes. Just download it. Yeah, it takes time. Fine. Let it get downloaded. And you just show me the JBoss which you have extracted. Where you have extracted that folder. Yeah, JBoss final is there. I saw it. Yeah, second one. Yeah, double click there, open it. Yeah, it's fine. Bin is there. So you have JBoss right version, and now you are downloading Eclipse as well. So just show me Eclipse download if it is done. Okay, it will take some time, right? Fine. And let me move meanwhile when it is taking time. Okay, we'll start. Once it is downloaded, then I will be coming back and will set up your system today.
Okay.
I'm making myself presenter, and then see, in last session what we did, we just understood what is EJB and how simple it is to create EJB. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about you say in detail what EJB is, but before we go and speak, I'll just tell you that JEE specification came up with concept of container and component where all low level of services were automated, right? So if you see what is responsibility of component here, responsibility of component is to ensure that it contains implementation of your business logic use case. Okay, that's what is responsibility of container. So developers will do what? Developers will just go and they will write component. Okay. And what is content of this component? Content of this component is implementation of use cases, right? After writing the logic, developer will just go and place these components in the container, and this is what is called as deployment. Once it is deployed, all responsibility goes to container. Container takes responsibility of lifecycle management. It means creating object, destroying object, all that is not developer's concern now. It is taken care by your container, right? Apart from that, low level of services like transaction management, security, concurrency, multi-threading, all that is taken care by your container. You need not worry. Apart from that, container takes responsibility of building the execution environment also, so that your component, whenever a client requests, is able to get executed. It's clear, right? Till here it's clear? So if you see client request, and then container takes responsibility of executing that particular component. Is that clear? Okay. So container does what? Manages, in short, life cycle. Now when I say life cycle, it means creating and destroying instances. All that is responsibility of container. When to create instance, when to destroy instance, how many instances need to be created. All these decisions are taken care by your container. As a developer, you need to just focus on ensuring that your business logic is implemented. Is that clear? Clear, right? Yeah, Fariha, is that clear? Just type it on the chat box so that I am aware that we all are connected. Okay, good. Now, from where this container will come? So if you see, Sun Microsystem contributed by writing J2E specification. Okay, and in J2E specification, they gave how actually container need to be created, what all features containers need to have. Then you have different vendors, right? Those vendors took responsibility of creating or writing something called as application servers. Okay, so when I say container, it means I need to have application server installed, right? These application servers will take responsibility of building or creating container. Is that clear? It's clear, right? And in market, you will have various application servers. Like we are using what? JBoss. Similarly, you will have WebLogic. You will have WebSphere application servers. So you'll have huge number of toys, okay, which you can go and which you can use, right? Fine. Now, what if? Yeah, we will use Glassfish. We can use Glassfish as well, Priya. Any container, any server will do. That's not a problem. Okay. If you want me to show you on Glassfish, I can show it on you. I can show it on Glassfish as well, right? Because components and the way component you are writing, that will not change. Okay. What will change is add the server on which you want to run or on which you want to deploy, right? And then just go and test your EJBs or your web components or whatever components we are going to write. Is that clear? Fine. Now, how actually I will go and customize services which are provided by container? Because sometimes defaults will not work, right? So I need to go and app server independent. Absolutely, Anurag. You write component, writing component is 100% independent because all app servers are written following same specifications. Yes, but the way they are deployed, that may be different because different containers will provide different way of deployment. Okay, is that clear? Fine. Now, once we build component, I will be telling you how actually you can go and deploy as well. Okay, on different containers. Is that clear? Okay, good. Now, what they did in J2EE, they provided various containers, right? In J2EE, they provided various containers. For example, if you see here, you have something called as web container. Now, the server is not always the way to deploy. No, Fariha, it is just a developer's resource. In production, you will follow a different deployment process because you will have different architecture there. You may have a cluster on which you have to deploy, right? Fine. Right. Now, when it comes to containers, you will have certain containers which are provided by J2EE compliant servers. Okay. Out of which 2 of them are irrelevant for us because they run on what? Client. Fine. So these are client containers. Applets will be there on client's machine. Application client container will be there on again client's machine. But when it comes to web container, this is something which will be there on server. EJB container will be there on server. Right? It means EJBs and web components will get executed in server JRE. This is what we have to keep in mind. Right? Is that clear? Fine. Now, what makes a web component? See, in order to help you in writing the right component which your container can understand, in J2EE you will find specifications again. Again, there are specifications. Okay. For example, when I talk about web container, you can create web container by using Servlet API or by using JSPs, right? Java server pages. So these 2 are ingredients which are used in order to create web component. Okay. Why? Because when I say web component, you will have HTTP protocol which need to be understood by your component. So Servlet and JSP understands HTTP, right? Because whenever client will place request, that request will be in what format? It will be in form of HTTP, right? And that HTTP request need to be understood by your container. If your container does not understand HTTP request, he cannot read that request and he cannot decide what processing he has to do. Okay? Is that clear? Fine. Now comes EJB container. EJB container, when it comes, this is in order to implement distributed business logic. Okay. And if you ask me how many different type of distributed business logic is there, I will say that you have in JEE 6 or in JEE 5 onwards. In 4 we used to have 3 different type of EJB components. One is session bean, second one is message driven bean, and third was entity beans. But with JEE 5, what they did, they said you have 2 type of EJBs. One is session beans, right? And second one is what? Message driven bean. We can also call them as MDBs, right? So these 2 ways are there in which actually you can create EJB component. Is that clear? Good. Now, sometimes you may not be, as I told you, you may not be interested in depending on the default features which are provided to you by container. You don't want to follow the same policy which by default container adopts for transaction management or for concurrency. You want to tell your container that, see, I want you to behave in this way, right? For that, you will be writing contract document. For example, here your contract document is web.xml, right? Now this web.xml actually is a file which you will configure in order to tell your web container that how actually he has to customize the environment, right? Similarly, for EJB also, you will have a file called as ejbzar.xml. Now this file will be used in order to actually do what? Tell your EJB container so that he can customize the environment, right? And these 2 documents are called as contract document. Is that clear? Good. Now let's talk about which of them are application server dependent. None of them. Nothing is application server dependent. Okay. As of now, when we talk about clustering and all, that is app server dependent. Okay. So we have here web component and we have here EJB component. Now this is important to understand. Question here is, what all services are provided to us by container where we need not bother about writing it in component? Okay, this is what is a big question, because we have identified that EJBs came up with objective of decoupling your functional requirement with non-functional requirement, where non-functional requirement will be handled by containers, right? So those non-functional requirements can be divided into 2 different parts. For example, your container provides you 2 different level of services. One is deployment based. If you see, this is deployment based, right? Now what do we mean by deployment based? Deployment based means it need to be specified in contract docs. Okay, I told you, right, what type of transaction management you need. If you need some default transaction management to be changed, all that is specified in contract document. Okay, or you can also go and use annotations, which we are using, right, to create our EJBs. So using annotations, you can go and specify deployment based services, right, like persistence management, then you have transaction management, then you have security, then you have injection. All these are deployment based services where you have to go and specify either by using annotations or by using XMLs. Is that clear? So there are certain services which, what is injection? I'll tell you, Anurag, we have last injected EJB in servlet, right? By using @EJB, if you remember. Okay? Then I'll ask you to write client. At that point of time, I'll tell you. Now, if you see inherent services are those services which are inbuilt, right? You need not go and ask container to do all that, like lifecycle management, threading, protocol. All these are inbuilt, right? You need not go and bother about them at all. Okay? Container will have a default policy of managing the internal threads or managing the life cycle. Okay, you cannot go and interfere in the life cycle policy of the container. Okay, As a component provider or as a component developer, you need to just worry about what? My container should have an instance present in the container. Okay, my container need to maintain a pool of instances to serve the client's request. This is what should be our worry. Is that clear? So if someone is asking you what all are the container services, two, deployment based services, and second one is inherent services. Inherent services are out of box life cycle. If you want to customize, then you have to go and write it on your own. Okay. Yeah, Fari, I'll come to the development part now. This is clear? Okay. Write the code, write the container of your own, because each container has a predefined algorithm for creating instances and all. Okay. So better we go and read the specification and read the container services, what all services they provide, and then go and think about creating the component. Right? Now let's come and see what is session bean and what is life cycle of session bean, how that life cycle is managed. Okay, and then we will create some session beans in order to start with development process. Okay, it's clear, right? So I asked you to go through this. I feel this is there with you. Now comes implementing session beans. Now if you see, session beans are of two types as of now. Let me write here. In JEE 5, if you see in JEE 5, you have session beans of two types. One is stateless and second one is stateful. Right? But in JEE 6 and 7, you have session beans of three types. Please be careful. Session beans are of three types. One is stateless, second one is stateful, and third one is singleton. Right? It's clear. It's clear, right? Now, what do we mean by stateless? Yeah, pattern. It's not a singleton pattern, yes, Fariha, but you get it in form of a session bean. You need not worry about maintaining the singleton programmatically. Your container ensures that at any point of time you will have only one instance. Okay? Is that clear? Fine. Now, if you see stateless, it's very simple. Bean, or you say bean instances, will not cache client specific info. Right? When we say stateful, this is different from stateless, because now your bean instances stores client session data. Right? And let me tell you what is singleton. Singleton says that one instance, only one instance will be there. One instance per container. Is that clear? Right. Now, when I say stateless, it means it is not bothered about who is the client who is accessing. The same instance can be used by n number of clients. But when it comes to stateful, we have seen that it maintains what? One instance. If you see, this is stateless. There are three clients, and since this option manager bean is a stateless bean, right? Any client can use any instance. It's not going to matter. Right? So if I say which one is more scalable, stateless, right? Why? Because it is not retaining any details of the client. But when you go with stateful, you see, each client will own or will have their own instance. So if thousands of clients are there, all 1,000 clients will have their own instance, right? But you can't help out. If you have decided that you will be managing session in EJB container, you have to go with what? Stateful session bean. Is that clear? Right. In case of singleton, you will have one instance present. All clients have to just go and manage their task using the same instance. It will not go and create new instances. Clear, right? Fine. So if you see, this is how actually you will go and you will decide whether you have to go with stateful or you have to go with stateless. And basically, this is what is the difference between stateful, stateless, and singleton. Okay. Now, in order to create EJBs, right, what all decisions you have to take, that is what I am going to discuss now. First decision that you have to take is whether you will go with stateful or you will go with stateless. Okay, that is what you have to decide, right? Decide bean type. You want to go with what bean? What EJB? Right? So you go and decide what EJB. Now this is an architectural decision that you have to take or your architect will take. Right? Second step is identify type of clients. Now when I say type of clients, again you have a difference. In JEE 5, you have two different type of clients who can access that EJB. One is local client. So we call it as local view. Meaning of local view is access is being made from the same JView. Second is remote client. We call it as remote view because this particular client is not running in the same JView, right? In JEE 6, you see, and 7, they added another type of view. You have local view, you have remote view. Apart from local and remote view, you will have no view. It means you can leave it for the container to decide, right? At runtime, what all artifacts are required in order to provide access to the client, irrespective of whether he is local or he is remote. It's clear, right? So you will decide. You have to decide, right? What EJB, identify type of client. Fine. Then what you have to do is, you have to go and you have to identify annotations that you have to use. So let me show you some of the annotations that actually we will be using when it comes to EJBs. Okay. Annotation number 1. Decide what EJB and use the annotation. I'll have here stateless. I'll have here stateful. Right. I'll have here singleton. Now you should understand that singleton is only supported by what? Not by 5. By which version? 6 and 7. Okay. JEE 6 and 7. So these 3 annotations are there which are important now. Right. Apart from this, when we talk about, one second. Anurag is asking some question. So does that mean remote view is not available locally? Yes, Anurag. It is remote. In the sense it's running in a different JView. Okay. Now, depending on the requirement, if you want to provide access to clients of local and remote, you have to go and specify those interfaces as local or as remote. Right? So these 5 are basic annotations that you can use in order to create your session beans. Okay? Is that clear? Fine. Now, how to go and make call to this? It means now, okay, fine, I have declared the required artifacts and my EJB is ready and I have deployed it. Now, how to make call to this? In order to make call to this, you have 2 options or 2 ways. First is inject. Second one is lookup. right? Inject is basically called as container service. It means container, it is responsibility of container to do all the search. Okay. When it comes to lookup, responsibility is of developer. You have to do a JNDI lookup. Is that clear? So what are different ways of accessing an EJB? There are two ways. First one is inject. Second one is what? Do lookup, where developers will use JNDI in order to look up. Is that clear? Fine. So this is how actually you will be using EJB. In order to call client, you will be just either injecting or you will be writing the lookup code. I will show you both. Is that clear? Right? So this is what side? On the server. And this is what? On the client. Okay, Fariha, there is a shortcut I'll tell you. As of now, you cannot use injection if your client is remote. Okay? It's clear? So for local clients, you can go with injection. For remote client, it is better to go with what? Lookup. Because as of now, there is no remote injection available in any one of these specifications. Is that clear, Anurag? You'll remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 annotations? Fine. Now when it comes to inject, for inject, you will be using what? An annotation. That annotation is @EJB. Absolutely right. @EJB. Okay. This is what is injection. It's clear, right? And for lookup, what you have to do? You have to go and you have to use JNDI API. It's clear? For lookup, you have to use JNDI API. Okay. It's clear, right? Anurag, is that clear? No, that's what I told. No lookup for yeah. Faria, no lookup for this. You can at max inject resource. Okay. Fine. So this is how actually you will be using annotations in order to decide the architecture of your EJB. Right. So decide whether you want stateless, you want stateful, or you want singleton. Right. Depending on the client view, you will either go with @local, @remote, or you can go with @no view. That no view is supported only in JEE6 and JEE7. Okay, it is not yet supported in, or it was not supported in JEE5. It's clear, right? Yeah, how to annotate no view? Very simple. Yeah, I'll just go and provide you here. @no view. Okay. And your ID will provide support to it, so you need not worry. Okay. Right. Instead of this, we can go with @local view also. You'll have local view. I'll show you the annotation. Still here, it's clear? Fine. So now we are going to talk about what all different type of methods or behavior can be there in an EJB. Okay, right? Fine. So that's what is our next objective now. Yes, all I have told you. Yes, we'll come here now. See, when you write EJBs, right, your EJBs will have, user will have what? Will have business logic method. As of now, we have discussed that, right? You'll have business logic methods in your EJBs. So first type of method in your EJB is what? It's business logic method, right? 1 second, I'll just draw it so that things are clear to us and I'm able to relate it. So you have business logic method. Fine. Now apart from this, if you see, lifecycle management is responsibility of container. Okay, right? And when we talk about stateless session bean, there are two states of that bean. One is does not exist and second one is ready. Ready means now it's ready, it's there in the pool, and whenever a client will place request, probably reference of this instance will be provided to the client. Okay, it's clear. Now you want to do some housekeeping task. Whenever any instance is created, or whenever actually now instance is having transition from does not exist to ready, you want to exploit that situation. For example, you want to go and connect to database, okay, or you want to go and open some file, or you want to create some file, or you want to log that instance is created and it is ready to serve now. You want to do you say auditing, that how frequency your app server is creating instances. So in order to do that editing, you have to know, right, how frequently objects are getting created and transition is happening from does not exist to ready, right? It's clear. Similarly, how frequently objects are getting destroyed, that also you will like to know. So you will have here one state, ready to does not exist. Now in order to help developers so that they can do auditing, logging and managing costly resources, so that as soon as EJB instance is destroyed, those resources also are cleared and all, your container provides you opportunity, right? It says that, see, whenever there will be transition from does not exist to ready, I will make call to a method, right? You can ask me to make call to the method so that I can tell you, right, that now there is a change in the state, and those methods are called as callbacks. Okay, so what are callbacks now? Callbacks are special methods which are not called by end user, they are called by the container. And when actually container calls it, whenever there is state change, right? Whenever your instance moves from one state to other state, callback is automatically made by container. Okay, is it clear, Anurag? Fine. So when we talk about session bean, there are two different callbacks. One is post construct, second one is pre-destroy. Means before destroying the object and after creating the object. All good? Okay, fine. So now you have a second candidate here. Apart from business logic, you will also have what? Life cycle callbacks, right? Now, if you see, these life cycle callbacks are not going to sort out, or they are not going to solve any purpose, right? They will do what? They will be called whenever container decides that now there should be transition from ready to does not exist or does not exist to ready. So you cannot go and write any concrete business logic in life cycle callbacks. Okay. Now, big question here is how I will specify which method needs to be called when there is transition from does not exist to ready, or when there is transition from ready to does not exist. Means how I will specify it, how I will tell it to my container. That you will do by using another set of annotations. Okay. So you say in order to manage lifecycle callbacks, you need to use two other annotations. First one is in case of stateless session bean. First one is post construct, and second one is what? Pre-destroy. Right. So when I say annotation, it's at the rate and at the rate. It's clear, right? So you'll be using at the rate post construct, at the rate pre-destroy. Okay. It's clear. It's clear, right? So now you saw second candidate, and the second candidate is lifecycle callback. So container will itself decide, yes, container will decide when to call. This is the reason I told you that you should never write concrete business logic there, because you are not sure how many times and when container will make call to it. So basically you can use it for logging, auditing, managing costly resources. Okay. Is that clear? Anurag? Okay, good. So Anurag, is your Eclipse downloaded? Okay, fine. So what I'll do, I'll make you presenter so that we can start up the plugin installation, and meanwhile I'll come back and I'll show you how actually you can create an EJB and have lifecycle callbacks also as part of it. Okay, that is what is the objective, rules which you need to follow in order to work with those lifecycle callbacks. Fine. I'll make you presenter now, Anurag, and yeah, you are the presenter now. Fine. Launch. You have launched your Eclipse, right? This new one. Okay, good. Just go to that. I feel you have launched. You have not launched. You have launched it. Yes. Now, if you go here, it's the same one or what? It's the same one. You just go to perspective, right hand side. Yeah. Okay. Go to new. Okay. Yeah. Go to a button which is there just beside Java perspective. Just beside Java. Click on that. Yeah. This one is what we needed. Okay. Change your perspective to Java EE. Fine. Click on OK. Now you want to add server, right? But before you add server, Fariha, we have to update our Eclipse with JBoss plugins, right? Otherwise, it will not be able to take up all servers. Okay? You will not get certain plugins which we will be using. So we have to go and add the plugins, right? Now, just go to servers. Just go to window. Just go to window, Anurag. Go to preferences. Go to server. Expand server. You'll have server. Just expand. Go to runtime environment. Yeah. Now go and click on add. Go to JBoss. Are you able to see 6 here? No, right? But we intend to use what? 6. In order to make those adapters available in your Eclipse, you have to add the required plugins. So cancel it now. Cancel it. We'll all add the plugins so that we can go and cancel this also. And as Fariha is telling, we have to go and update. Just go to help. Go to help. Go to Eclipse Marketplace. And in find you write JBoss tools. JBoss tools. Yes, just go click on go. Now you select second one because yours is Kepler, right? Click on install. And wait. Now unselect it. Unselect all. Just stop one if you will unselect, yeah, because we will not install all of them. Now here you just go and select Hibernate tools. Hibernate tools, first one. Hibernate tools. Just see Hibernate tools. Yeah, select that. JBoss archive tools. Yes, that one also. Now come JBoss runtime detection core. Right? Move down. Move down. More tools we have to select. Go and select JBoss AS tools. You have down JBoss AS tools, app server tools, and JMX console also you select. Right? Click on confirm. So this will start installation of, accept the terms and license. Yeah, click on finish. Right? Just go and click on details. You can see here download going on, right? It will give you some warning. You can just say yes and all, okay? Right? And then finally it will ask you to restart your JBoss, your Eclipse. And now once you will restart, you'll find that in JBoss server, you will get various other servers also added, right? So let it get installed. I'll revert back again. to you once it is done. Yeah, just click on OK. Yes. How much time it will take? I think it's happening pretty fast. So let's complete this. Yeah, a restart, right? Yes. Now restart it. Fariha will complete this setup on his machine and then we'll create EDB on our system and then we'll replicate it. Yes, run. Yes. Okay. Now you go to Window, Preferences, Server, Runtime. No, yeah, Runtime Environment. Click on Add. Go to JBoss Middleware. You see, you'll have JBoss Community and then down you see. Go down. JBoss Community will be there and JBoss Enterprise Middle will be there. So this is what we have downloaded. Select 6.1 because your server is 6.1, right? Yeah. Click on Next. Now you go and specify the home directory wherever we have. I think we have it in C drive under JBoss EAP. You just go. You have JBoss. Yeah, well, JBoss. Yes, final. Click on that. Okay. Okay. Now it is saying missing required folder. JBoss modules. Okay. So this is not the right one. Okay. Go back. Go to community, JBoss community once. Yeah. Select here JBoss 6.x runtime. Now click on next. Fine. Now you go and point the same directory. It's fine, Fariha. 6.1. Yeah. Now this is done. Now you go JRE. You have JDK 1.7, right, Anurag? You have installed that?
I think, yeah.
Okay, fine. As of now, it will run. Just click on Finish. So now if you see JBoss, click on OK. Now go to Servers Down. You have a tab called Servers, right? Down. On the bottom one. Yeah, just beside Data Store. Yeah. Click on that. Select JBoss AS6.x. Click on Next. Okay. Click on Next. Click on Finish. Right click on the JBoss runtime server and start. Okay. It is starting. Now let me make Anurag only write code here. Let's go and see the servers. Yeah, you just don't worry about that as of now. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that as of now. Okay. It is still trying to start, so fine. Yeah, it started. Go and see the servers. It is started and synchronized, right? Now we will create an enterprise application. Just go to File, Anurag. I'll make you write New Enterprise Application Project. Right? Write your name of the project, whatever you want to give. Target runtime is fine. ER version is fine. We can change it to 5 as of now. Change it to 5.0 ER version. Yeah. Click on Next. And don't forget to select Generate Application.xml. No. Click go next. Yes. Now you have to create new modules. Create new modules. Click on New Modules. Unselect client module and connector. We want a web module which we will use as a client and we'll be using EJB module. Yeah, last one also, connector module. Click on finish. Click on finish. Is that fine, Anurag? Now everything is working? Okay,
Yes.
so I will take the control and I will show you how to write EJBs and how to add lifecycle callback because that is what is our priority today.
Okay.
Okay, fine, good. I'll be the presenter now. I already have my Eclipse launched here. So I'll share my desktop. Okay, there are so many, right? Projects. I'll just go and create a new workspace for you. I'll click on yes. So I'm creating a new workspace where I'll be writing I'll be writing all my project here, which I will tell you so that I can share the code at the end of the session also. It launches my Eclipse. Meanwhile, you can grab a coffee or tea if you want. I'll close this welcome page. It takes some time. It is initializing. Okay. Now it will prompt me to add server. Yeah, it's prompting me, right? I'll just take this. Similar to yours, I have now JBoss with me, right? I'll do the same thing which Anurag has done, but here my objective is to tell you how actually you will be creating an EJB with lifecycle method and business logic method, and we will close today on this client and also that you understand it properly. I'll just go here. As I told you, decide what type of EJB. I'll give a name as project 1 as Anurag has given. I'll let it be JEE6. Okay, I can change it to 5 also, but 5 will not provide me support for what? Singleton, right? That's fine. I'll just go and click on next. I will ensure that I have selected this. Click on new module. I will unselect these two. Click on finish. So now I have EJB and web module, where web module I will be using as my client. Fine. I'll just go and click on finish. And let me take some real case here so that you can see the EJB call happening in proper way. And okay, now my EJB project is ready. What I need to do, I need to go and create EJB, right? So let me create here an EJB. Right click, new, and if you see, I'll create session bean. always package. Your EJBs or any server context need to be in a package. I'll write here com.services. I'll give a class name as credit card validator. Right? Now, I can go and select type of EJB. See, 3 are there, right? But if you see, one of them is added in what? In JEE6, right? So you have to remember this part. Then you have to select the view, right? I told you how many views are there? 3 views, right? What are they? What are they? Yes. If you see here, you have remote, you have local, and you have no view. Now this no view is supported in what? 6. Okay. So we'll not take no view here. For the same EJB, I can have local as well as remote view. Okay. So I'll be taking up both of them, for which I will select. The minute I'm selecting it here, you see it tells that I'm creating an interface for local and another interface for remote. Okay. It's clear. Go and click on next. Click on finish. So now you have skeleton of your EJB ready. Okay. Fine. Now we have to write methods here. I told you there are 2 types of methods that you can write, right? One is business logic and second one is what? Life cycle callback. Okay. Now please remember, when you are writing business logic method, they need to be declared in the corresponding interfaces. So I'll go to local and I'll write here public boolean validate card, and I'll take here string card number. Okay. Fine. Now I want this method to be accessible to both, like both should be able to call it, remote as well as local. So I'll keep the same signature in both. Right. So you need to remember always that all business logic methods must always be specified in the interfaces if you are using local or remote. Okay. Is that clear? So if you have decided that it's a business logic method, it has to be present in your interface. Now decide whether you want only local or you want only remote or you want both. If you want both, enter the signature in both. Okay. It's clear. Fine. Now implementation of this has to be done in the implementation class. This is bean implementation. We have to just go and override. I'll just go select add unimplemented method, and this is what is there. I can return false depending on some logic, right? So I'm just writing one logic here. You see, if card number. Now I'll show all this implementation in real scenario. As of now, I'm just taking some constant value. Dot equals, right? And let me take here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If this is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's fine. I will return true. Right? Now actual scenario, we will go and we will fetch this value from the database. Okay? I am not writing that as of now. Anyhow, we'll be completing that code as I told you that once we begin, right? Else return false. Is that clear, Fariha? Okay, fine. Good. Now this is what? It's a business logic method. Now, if you want to implement callback methods, then you need not go and declare them in local and remote, because these methods will not be called by clients. These methods will be called by container. Okay. So we'll go and we will implement that also. So let me go to the implementation class here and I'll write public void. Any lifecycle callback method returns always void and takes no argument. Okay. I'll write here do init. Now you can write whatever method name you want. You don't have any constraint here, and you will take here public void do destroy. Okay, right? And as of now, let me go and write here. Sorry. As of now, let me go and write some sysout printlns. And here I'll write init called or something. Okay, something I will write so that we can go and see. And here I'll write sysout. Yeah, I'm coming to that, Anurag. I'll just go and write destroy called. Right? And we can go and now we can tell our container that see these methods you have to call at the rate post construct. And this method you have to call at the rate pre-destroy. Is that clear? Fine. There can be only method for each callback. Yeah, you can use this at the rate post construct only once in your this. Okay. You can call the same method with two annotations or callbacks, right? But once you have specified at the rate post construct, again you will not be able to specify, or you should not specify. You should not confuse container. Is that clear? Okay, good. Next, our business logic is ready, or EJB is ready. It contains one method here, business logic method called as validate card, and it contains post construct and pre-destroy, right? Next, what I will do is I will create a page, JSP page, right? A very simple JSP page, because I want you to see that user enters value there, it goes to servlet, and from servlet EJB is called, and then data comes back to the client. I want to show you that particular flow, right? Is that clear, Fariha, Anurag? Are you aware about servlets or JSPs or no? A bit of servlets and JSP. Not at all, Anurag? Fariha is aware a bit. Okay. Okay, fine. So what I'll do, as of now, I'll skip that JSP. You just concentrate on client call. And then probably once I complete web container, then we'll be able to do it. But I feel 1-2 lines, if I write, you'll be able to understand. HTML, you know, Anurag? Okay, fine. So I'll use HTML then. What I'll do is I'll go to my web project now, because interface is a web interface. So I'll just go and create here, right click, new, and select HTML. Now let me write here index.html so that you stop getting 404. Click on next, click on finish. Right, it will launch HTML editor now. See, drag and drop is also there, but I feel more comfortable in writing. So I'll just go and write form, right? Opening, form, closing. Because this is what something, whatever you write in form opening and closing is submitted to the server. I'll write here method equal to get. Even if I don't write default is get, here it's important, action. I will specify here IP of my servlet, right? So let me write here localhost, and whatever I know as of now, I'll just write localhost 8080 slash project 1 web. This is what is context, and I will come to know about this context in my application.xml. You see here it maintains the context also. I'll open it. Source. See, this is what is the context, right? That's what I'm using here. And then let me write here slash validate action. Okay. right? It will call a servlet, and that servlet's name will be what? Validate action. This is what we have to remember. Now, user will enter data in something called as input, type equal to text, right? And I can just specify a help here. Enter your card number, right? And then I'll give a button. I'll break so that comes on next line. I'll give a button. What button? Input type equal to submit button, right? And I can change the value. Right. I'll save it. I can put all this in center. It's clear, right? Fine. So it's a small form that we have created. Now we'll write the servlet. I'll go to project web, right click, new. Now whenever user will click on that validate, it will make call to a servlet, and this servlet is a normal Java class which has special behavior if you deploy it in container. So I'll just write here com.actions, and here I'll take what is name? Validate action, right? Whatever name I have specified here, validate action. Otherwise I have to change there or here. Click on next. Click on next. Just take do get. Do post is not required. Finish. So this is what is my validate action servlet. This is what we are making call to here. Okay. In validate action now, I will go and I will make call to our EJBs. Is that clear? Fariha, you are following? Anurag? Okay, fine. Now how to make call to the EJB? Very simple. I told you there are two ways. One is inject. Second one is do what? Look up, right? As of now, we are going to see inject. So in order to inject, you will be using @EJB. Fine. But before you write this @EJB, you need to ensure that it's optional, Anurag. HTML I am taking because I want to provide some interface to the end user who will enter his credit card number, right? So I'll just go now, and what I'll do, I will add the EJB project here because otherwise it will not get reference of those interfaces. Add project. I feel you might have done this in last project also. I have told you. Click OK. Now inject what EJB you want. So I'll just go and write I want credit card validator local. I want to use local interface. Okay. I'll write here credit card validator local. Fine. Now I'll come to do get. In do get, I will like to read what user is sending from the form, right? So I'll come here and I'll give a name to this element. I'll give it a name, say card number. Okay. So when user clicks on validate, this card number and the value of card number is what will be passed on to the servlet. Okay. And that is what you have to capture here in do get. Clear, right? So we'll go and capture. I'll write here get value from form. I'll take here string card number entered by user equal to request dot get parameter. It means whatever user writes in a form, it gets added to the request header, which comes to the web container. And you are asking web container, please give me the value which user has entered here in this text field, which I will be able to name by using card number, right? So here I'm asking my container, please go and give me the value which has come to you in form of a request, and it is being initialized or being pointed or being stored in card number. I got it right? What next? I'll take here Boolean, because my method returns Boolean, right? B equal to card entered, right? What we have to do? We have to make call to the method. Which method? I have validator local dot validate card, and let me pass this here. If you have entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it will return true, else it will return false, right? So let me take here a condition. If b dot or b equal to true, let's display some message here, sys out, or you can return it on another page. I don't want to complicate it, so I'll write here if it is true, I'll write valid number. Else what I'll do? I'll write invalid number. See, I am taking these scenarios because I know that it may be a bit complicated to you, but this is what you will be doing in actual scenario. Okay? Right? This is the reason why I'm trying to take a small cases, and finally you will see that we are working out on big cases. Invalid number. And I'll save it. Faria, is that clear? This is what is called as injection. When you are using this @EJP here, it means you are injecting. You are asking container, I don't want to go and look up. You please go and get me an EJP. Whose name is this? Okay? It's fine, right? Good. Now next what I will do is, I'll just go and cross-check everything is fine. My server is running on 1.6. So I'll just go and see what about this. It runs on 1.7. Unnecessary. Why to get error again? Right? Go and check facet also. It's 1.7. Change it to 1.6. If your server is running on 1.7, it's fine. There'll be no issue. Same thing you have to do with EJP also. Ensure that everything is fine. Change this also to 1.6. Otherwise it's alright. Last time it was shouting, which we have changed. So I'm just doing this. Please remember, if your server is also running on 1.7, then all this is not required. Fine. I'll click on OK. Now time has come when we have to run the application. Okay. I'll just go to project, right click, run as, run on server. So this is there in our development environment. So Eclipse goes, deploys it and test it. In production you have to go and you have to package it properly, and then you have to go and you have to deploy it. Let's see what happens. You got it right? Anurag, you are getting the web page? And if you see down, here we have class validate credit card. Now EJB is also ready, see? And EJB is running. Okay? Fine. Now you will, is that fine? Fariha, I'll just enter 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Click on validate. Now see the console here. What happens? First init called. See, I'll show you the console. What happened? First init called. Now this init is what? It's lifecycle callback, right? And then it is showing you what? Valid number. Got it? Now I can go and I can again run it with a different value to check again. Now this time I'll write 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, which is wrong number. Click on validate. Now if you see again it is not making call to init. Why? Because container feels that one instance is sufficient to you say handle the current load. But if you put lots of load on it, container will go and probably make call to init once again, because probably it will create one more instance and it will keep it in the pool. Is that clear? It's clear, right? So now if you see, we have seen two-tier communication. Your web container is talking to your EJB container. Your request is coming from an HTML. It is going to your web container, and web container is executing your EJB. Okay? Is that clear? It's clear, right? Fine. So this is how actually you will be working with EJB. So today you have seen lifecycle callbacks, and probably we have tried implementing some real case here, a small one though, but some real case, which I will go and I will add up with the persistence layer once we move forward. As of now, I am just taking some constant number, right? And I'm not writing any validation process. Okay, I'm just validating it to a constant. Okay, so like later we will go and we will see how persistence layer is also added. Okay, but please tell us about some persistence today. Okay, are you ready to sit for another 45 minutes? Anurag, Fariha? Okay, you want me to do the setup, Fariha, here? Next session I will tell you, and believe me, just be there for 3 sessions. In 3 sessions you will be up with EJBs as well as you will start working on persistence. Okay, but if you feel that it is urgent for you and interview and all is there, then I can definitely work out and we can do it. Okay, so tomorrow again we have session, right? I feel that it will be a bit early because you have placed your request, right? So it will be, I think 8 or 8. Yeah. I'll ask him and I'll send you, because he might be sleeping now. It's too late for him also. We'll have no longer session now. What? I'll ask him to schedule. I will sit with him today once he wakes up, because it's too late for him. He might be sleeping now. Yeah, Fariha, means I came with that intention only. But Anurag is blocked somewhere, I think. So you want me to, Anurag, are you there? so tomorrow will sit for longer time. Okay, so okay, fine. Then tomorrow will sit for longer time, and tomorrow objective will be to move further and add persistence, because I feel Pariha is eager to move into database and persistence. So fine, we will do that, and we'll start up with Hibernate also probably tomorrow itself, so that you can see. Okay, but let's complete the EJB, in which we have two things, very important things left. One is interceptor and second is timer, right? Interceptor and timer. So you will be able to schedule your task also, which you want to execute at regular frequency. EJB container provides you that capability. But anyhow, that we will see, and I'll make you aware about that. Okay, fine. So we'll end the session. Tomorrow we'll sit for a longer time. Okay.